What's going on to all my American Horror Story fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again, talking about Season 10 of American Horror Story. This time we're talking Part 2, which is titled Death Valley. We're talking Episode 7, titled Take Me to Your Leader, an episode in which one half is very intriguing. The other half I could care less about. We're breaking it all down here in this spoiler review, but before we dive into it, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. If you enjoyed this spoiler review, well, make sure to like and share the review. It helps out the channel a lot, but also appreciate the support. And in those comments below, how do you all feel about this 7th episode, this second part? How did you feel about the black and white 1950s story that we have? And then we transition to the modern day story. Are you intrigued? Are you happy? Are you dishappy? Let's talk about what we can expect in this second half. And if you'll stick around for it, let's talk about it in the comment section. So listen. You all may or may not have seen my review last week of the finale of Part 1. Let's just say I wasn't a fan. So I was a little bit bitter going into the second half just because I thought that finale was just abysmal. And I knew that this second half was going to dive into aliens and maybe we'll get the origins of where the black pill was made. And all that stuff kind of intrigued me. So I gave it a shot. Here we are talking about it. Let's get into it. So we start off in 1954 in New Mexico, and this is where we meet little Timmy. There's a twister that's coming about. The music's all reversed that his mom's playing, Marie. The clock gets turned back in time, and then we see Timmy comes back in the house. He seems to be under some type of control by this, what seems to be an alien, and not invasion, but alien activity going on here. And we can see that Timmy is under the control of the aliens, and he tells his mom not to be afraid, which brings us into their father, the dad coming home, seeing the mess around the house. He sees his wife is just levitating, floating in the air, Marie, and he asks, what's going on? And she doesn't have much to say for her husband, but she blows his head up. So I'm like, okay, this is okay. This is different. The music was very, plays into the whole kind of Twilight Zone alien episode thing. I'm like, that didn't really work for me, but I'm intrigued by, okay, why this family, heads exploding, and then the intro was very intriguing. So far, I'm into it. I'm digging what I'm getting so far with this alien story, which brings us after the credits. We go to California, 1954. We meet President, Dwight Eisenhower, who's given the news that there is a threat that needs his attention. We see Sarah Paulson, which I'm like, okay, we didn't get a lot of Karen last, Part 1. And as you all may or may not know, Sarah Paulson is my girl. I love her so much. So I'm like, okay, she plays the wife of Dwight, and she questions his whereabouts because there clearly seems to be some, affairs that he's had in the past and maybe he's engaged in currently. So I'm like, okay, a little bit of drama with the president there and his wife. I'm really into it so far. I'm like, okay, aliens, head explosion, Sarah Paulson, you're doing some good stuff that's getting me excited, Ryan. So we go on to where he needs to be, the crash site where there's alien radiation going on, and there's an alien body that they find there, and then they come across this female who has a bunch of signs on her back, and it is no other than Amelia Earhart, who was very famously known for being the first female aviator to cross the Atlantic Ocean. And again, she has all these marks on her back. They bring her back to the laboratory. She describes what happened to her. She clearly was taken by aliens, and she has this freak out moment because obviously when she was around there was a different president, and they go outside and say, sir, this can't be her. She's been missing for over 20 years and she is 2 months pregnant, which brings us to the idea that these aliens are impregnating women, as we'll talk about with the future storyline that we have here. But she's 2 months pregnant with a baby on the way, which brings in this autopsy that they perform on the little baby alien that they find. And we see Dwight quickly. He looks at a picture of like what seems to be a little boy. I don't know if that's him as a child. I know in real life Dwight had 2 kids, but I don't know if any of them went missing. I don't know if this is like a spin on, obviously the real life story of the president, but neither here nor there. More carnage comes about as the alien brings out, very alien-like from Ridley Scott's Alien, with the face sucker sucking the doctor's face up, heads exploding, Marie's coming in, floating as the president tries to attempt to have peace, have some conversation with this controlled Marie alien vessel right now. And she simply says to the president, we're not here to listen to you. It's time for you to listen to us. And I'm like, yo, I'm liking where this is going. Let's see what else happens. And then boom, this is where things went to a straight dumpster dive to just horribleness. We go to the present day, and this is where we meet our Gen X characters. We have Cal, who is life goal is world domination. Kendall, who wants to be a doctor. We have Troy, who wants to take over the family business, and Troy is definitely in some coke activity. We meet Jamie, who, by the way, that actress, she's great. Mia as in Love Victor, but she is a guru, a help guru, and again, they're Gen X characters, and they have like these dossier files that we get all this information, which alludes to them being important to the show. So as soon as I knew that they were going to be the main characters, and seeing these various characters, number one, Kendall and Cal, if you all have seen American Horror Stories, I was not a fan of that series, and they were, well, at least Kendall's character, she was a big reason why I wasn't a fan of that show or that particular series. So I'm already losing interest at this point. And then this is where the show, again, just dives more into things I didn't like about American Horror Stories. Exposition dump about these pompous, assholery type of characters, especially Cal, the way he's treating the waitress and all that. We get the exposition of, they haven't met since college. One of the parents have cancer. Cal and Troy are banging. Jamie shares this really stupid story about this guy she's dating and some skin issues that he's having with him. And you've seen the episode, so you know what I'm talking about. This is like ripped out of the page. This has to be the same writers from American Horror Story, or American Horror Stories, because I'm like, dude, this is trash. This is bad writing. These characters are terrible, well, not terrible people, but these characters I don't have interest in whatsoever, and I don't care for them at all. None of them have any, redeeming factors to them. They seem very boring, like I said, pompous assholes. I don't care. So I'm already, like I said, at this point in the episode, everything that the first half kind of built within that first 15-minute opening, it's lost on me because they're focusing on these stupid characters that I just do not care for at all. But let's get back to this mindless nonsense as Kendall shares her sex story with hooking up with her teacher, who's kind of led her down this path of not being a tech user and having this kind of opinion based on why people should use tech, why they shouldn't use tech. And nonetheless, they come up with an idea of like, hey, you remember when we were kids, we went to a trip where the parents told us not to use our electronics. Let's do that again. Let's try to rebond and become friends again. So we get this montage presented by America's Next Top Model, because they're all beautiful, six packs and 8 packs and bathing suits and bikinis, and I'm just like, dude, this is mindless media right now, just this really terrible storytelling. And again, I don't care for these characters at all. But either way, they come across this field of cows who have been mutilated, and then one of them wakes up and scares them. They leave for the night. They go in their car. The aliens come, and then they move forward towards the next scene. And the only person that's missing in the car is Jamie, but she pops up in front of them, and clearly the aliens have taken over their bodies. As they make their way back home, Kendall and Jamie, boyfriend or the teacher, tells Kendall that maybe the boys drugged you, and she's like, no, we're good friends, and they believe that they're pregnant, and they're both sick at this point, which brings us to the end of this episode, which I was so happy was ending. Long story short, all 4 of them are pregnant. The 2 boys are pregnant, the 2 girls are pregnant. There's aliens inside of them, which I think hints towards them getting those dossiers, because they're probably going to be tested on. The government's going to bring them in. We're going to cut back and forth between the flashbacks that we got in the beginning of the episode, which was great, very intriguing, very interesting stuff. And we're going to cut to the present day, which, just for the present day alone, just giving you my overall thoughts, I don't think I'm going to be watching the rest of this show, because I'm not a fan of these characters. I might peek in just to see what's going on and see the origins of the Black Pill and see if it connects at all to the first story, which it might not, because it is a double feature. And if you've seen a double feature at theaters, sometimes you get 2 different movies that have nothing to do with each other. So this might have nothing to do with the first part. I hope it does, but it might not. And the chemist might come up, Elma might come up, but I'm not holding my breath. Based on the second half of this particular episode, I'm not intrigued at all. Like I said, everything that was built, all the goodwill built in the first half, was completely undermined by that second half of just stupid, terrible writing, characters I don't care about, nonsensical stuff going on. I'm not impressed at all, and I have so little time on my hands to invest in a show that this is why I didn't watch American Horror Story for like 2 seasons, because this is the stuff I don't like from Ryan Murphy. So that's just my opinion. I don't want to offend any American Horror Story fans out there that love this episode, that was so intrigued by it, but this isn't my type of content I like to invest my time in. So that's just my thoughts. Let me know yours. Pros, cons. Are you excited for the second part? What are your theories about the aliens and the baby and the connection to the part 1 that we got? If there's any connections at all. Will you stick around for the rest of it? I surely will not, but I want to know if you all will. But again, if you enjoyed it, I'm so glad you're liking it. But this is the American Horror Story stuff that made me check out for 2 seasons because I'm just not intrigued with this type of writing. So my thoughts, let me know yours in the comments below. Before you leave, make sure to like, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell, that way you don't miss any of my other content. Hope you all are staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe, check out the other content. We'll see you on the next video.